All right, guys, let's get into it. Business credit. Number one, credibility. Your business credibility is your business's character, okay? So this is how banks and lenders and business credit bureaus look at you and your business to determine whether you're legit, all right? Too many business owners are operating in a way where, from the perspective of the lenders and credit bureaus, your business is a hobby, right? And it's basically how you dress up your business, what the business looks like from the outside, without digging into the numbers or the credit, but just on the surface, okay? So there's 10 data points that they look at, right? Your business name is number one, right? So when you're starting a business, you want to find a business name. A lot of us like to use our name in our business, and you can, right? Not a good idea, but you can. You also may not want to use your industry. You might want to keep it not so specific to an industry. Use a name that's a little less specific, more vague, right? Because there's something which is another data point, which is your industry code, okay? So certain banks are gonna look at your different industry codes differently, and they're not gonna wanna lend. So for example, if you're a real estate investor and you wanna secure a loan from a bank, a lot of banks are not gonna lend for real estate investing, right? But they may lend for real estate consulting. Very simple difference in the industry code, okay? So there's a lot of industry codes, and for everyone being here today, I'm gonna give everybody access to this data list with the resources so you can verify your business and make sure that you're credible, okay? So number one is the business name. Number two is your web presence, right? Your web presence, meaning your website address, your domain name, right? Your email address is very important, and just basically, if you're using Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, you can use that to make money. That's fine, right? But when you're presenting yourself to a bank, do you see any Fortune 500 companies using Yahoo or Gmail? No, they're not. It's very simple. A domain name is between $10 to $20, right? The email is going to cost you, what, $5 maybe less, $2 a month to get an email account. So, for example, Business Credit 101, info@Business Credit 1, right? Seb@Business Credit 101. So when I apply to a bank, I'm not going to put my Gmail, I'm going to put the business domain name email. That tells the bank this is a serious business owner. This is not someone who's treating this as a hobby, all right? I have to have a website, and on my website, I need to have my email. I need to have my business phone number, which is the next point, is your business's phone number, right? So a lot of us are using our personal cell phones. And you can make money without doing these things. But if you want to be credible in the eyes of a bank or a lender, you want to set these things up properly, okay? So your business phone number, you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars a month to get a business phone number. There are companies like RingCentral and many others that you can get a business phone number, very inexpensive, between $15 to $30 a month. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You're on the same topic. The 877-888-866 numbers, are those looked at independently?
Ideally, yes. So it's better to have a toll-free number. With a lot of these companies that I was mentioning, you can get like a voice over IP business phone number. You can purchase you spend a little extra, maybe $5 to $10 to get that. It doesn't have to be an 800, but it could be any of those 888s, toll-free numbers, basically, and you'll get a local number included. But ideally, yes, it looks better for that, especially if you're doing business nationwide, okay? And so then, of course, your business address is the next thing, right? Now, can you build business credit using your home address? You can. You can. But if you want to remain anonymous, because if I'm your competitor or your customer who's mad at you, I could go to Google Maps and zoom right down to your home address and see exactly where you live, right? If you don't care about that, then fine, use your home address, right? If you don't want to pay for office space and you can't afford office space, there are certain companies that offer what are called virtual addresses, but you can't just get any virtual address. It has to be an address that's affiliated or associated with real office space, okay? If you're getting an address and when you look up that address, it looks like a postal address, like a mailbox center, it's not gonna work. The lenders, the banks, they're gonna see that and they're gonna say no. Because guess what? That's what fraudsters do. They set up PO boxes and these mailbox numbers to commit fraud. So they're not gonna give you that loan, they're just gonna decline you, because of that. So make sure if you are gonna save money by using a virtual address, that virtual address has a real office space behind it. Yes?
We have a truck yard,
Mhm.
so is that a big deal?
Do you have like a building, where you can like have an office in there?
Yeah, we have a truck yard, it has containers
Mhm.
that we turn into offices.
Okay, yeah, so
So
if,
we have to ship it and pick stuff all around, but also my husband fixes the trucks.
mhm.
So we don't have to pay anybody to fix our trucks. So everything is in-house.
Good. Yeah, then that should work. The address, as long as that address can be mapped and it's identified as a, yeah, sure. That should work. Now, speaking on the topic of anonymity, when you form your company, you also have to decide who's going to be the registered agent for your company. Okay? Now, a lot of times folks hire their CPA, accounting, or attorney to do the work, and they'll just make themselves the registered agent. You can be your own registered agent if you want to be, but again, that means your name is public, right? So if you want to create a separation, which means that if someone's looking up your business on the Secretary of State, you want to have a registered agent in between you. It's a little bit of a buffer so that you can remain anonymous if that's important to you, okay? Some of the companies that you might hire to form a company for you, you might have to pay a fee like $100 a year for them to be the registered agent. But just know that you can be your own registered agent. However, it's just, again, it's public info. Just like you can use your home address, except it's public information, okay? Also, when you're setting up your domain name and your website, you're gonna have the option to, it's an option for like $10 a month to make it private, to make your domain private. And again, what that does, it just masks the owner of that domain name. Because again, if not, I can just go to whois.com and I could research, who owns this domain, and I'll see your name, your home address, your phone number, all your personal effects. So again, if you want to create that buffer, have a registered agent between you and the Secretary of State. When you set up your domain name, make sure you pay that extra $10 to have that, to privatize that domain name, so you hide your information. And then for your address, you can use a virtual office company, but make sure it's a premium address with office locations. Okay, of course, when you're forming your company, how you're going to structure it, whether it's going to be an LLC or a S Corp, C Corp, that I'm not going to tell you what to choose, but being a sole proprietor is not going to work. Okay, so you need to establish a company with an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, as an entity, not just as a sole proprietor. Your licenses, permits, and insurance. When you have an office in a city, there are city permits that you have to get. A lot of people that have home-based businesses think that doesn't matter, but it still matters. Now the thing is, it might not be an issue for you because it might not come back to bite you right away, but it could. If a lender starts researching and they see that you don't have the right permits in place, then you might not get qualified, right? And then you call the city to get it, and they look, oh, you've been in business for 10 years, you never paid. Guess what? You're gonna have to back pay for all those years, okay? So look into that, make sure you have those things in place. Of course, your business banking and checking account. It's so unfortunate when I speak to a business owner who's been in business for 2-3 years, and they're banking $20,000, $30,000 a month in their personal account. Why? They didn't know, right? My people perish for the lack of knowledge. They just didn't know. So what happens? They go to get a loan, and the bank looks in and says, well, your business is technically not in business. You don't even have a bank account. Oh, I have a bank account. That's a personal account associated with your social security number. not associated with your EIN and your business. So it's pretty obvious, but I have to state it because we can make those mistakes, lack of knowledge. So make sure you get a business checking account. There are business checking accounts out there right now that will give you 1%, 2% cash back. I mentioned them on my site, so you can check them out. That's another way of just multiplying your money. Every time you use your checking account, you get 2% back when you use that debit card. So, look for banks that offer incentives like that. Look for banks that offer loans and products that later on you can benefit from. Establish relationships with your banker. Know their name. They should know your name, right? Now, there's two types of banks. There's your brick and mortar bank, and then there's your virtual bank. I have both. I have a brick and mortar bank relationship, and I have a virtual, right? And I move money from one bank to the other, right? And so I'm using the virtual because that's typically where you get those perks and those percentage cashbacks. Your brick and mortar bank, you want to have a relationship with your banker. You want them to know you, and you want to know what products they offer so that you can prepare yourself and your business to qualify for those loans. See, the problem is what most of us do is we get an ad in the mail, we see something on TV, we hear from a friend, right? Something comes up on the internet, and we answer an ad. And when you go to that bank or lender, what's the first thing they want you to do? What do they say? Number one, apply, right? Apply. And what are they going to do? The first thing, they're going to pull your credit. So now you have an inquiry on your credit, and they're going to say one of three things. Sorry, you're declined. You're going to get a letter in the mail in 30 days explaining to you why. So you're like, oh, okay. Letter comes in the mail, you look at it, and it's like, sorry, your credit is not qualified. It's very vague. It doesn't really help you, right? Now, there are resources that you have, that we all have access to. My Score IQ, Identity IQ. You can go to Experian.com, Equifax, or TransUnion and pull your credit report yourself. Look at your credit. Look at your balances. Look at what's reporting. Is your name spelled properly? Do they have your correct address? Is your year of birth correct? On all three credit bureaus before you apply to the bank. Okay? It's all about preparation, because otherwise you're relying on that bank and that underwriting department to tell you what you look like. So wouldn't you rather walk into the bank with confidence, knowing that you qualify? Knowing that I'm going to get this. Because why? Because I've already checked the data points. I know that my credit's in the right position. I know that I meet the minimum revenue criteria. I know this loan is asking for 1 year or 2 years in business. This loan is asking for business credit. This one is not. The point is, take the time to do a little research and make sure you're prepared before you apply. Okay? And having these data points in place, your business credibility, I'm just going to read it out real fast. Your business name, attach that to a business plan to that. You don't need the business plan, but attach it to that, okay? Your business web presence, domain name, business email, all that information should be on your contact page, okay? And if you want, because spam bots will click your domain name and spam you, so you might want to make that like an image that you put on that contact page so the bots can't, start spamming you. You guys understand what I mean by that? Yeah? Okay. Your phone number, your business address, industry codes, your legal structure, business banking account, licenses, permits, public records. Okay, so how do you get your business on public records? It's simple, 411 directory listings. That's it. You get your business listed on 411, now you're on public records. You also want to check LexisNexis. LexisNexis is a data aggregator that all of the credit bureaus look at. You can check LexisNexis, and there's a few others, but LexisNexis is the biggest one. Excuse me. And of course, the Secretary of State. You want to make sure before you apply for a loan, you can look at your business credit just like you look at your personal credit. You can make sure there's no UCC filings, make sure all the data is properly, because maybe you did all this. Maybe you did everything we were talking about, but it's just not reporting properly. So don't assume just because you did it, they're reporting it properly. Verify before you proceed, okay? And finally, that lands us on the 3 major business credit bureaus, which are gonna be Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. Now there are a few others. There's Credit Safe that are smaller. There's PayNet. Okay. So Dun & Bradstreet and I'd say Experian are probably the biggest ones to really focus, but Equifax is also going to be the most important. Those three. Okay. So Dun & Bradstreet has what's called a Paydex score. So I love it when well, I don't love it, it's frustrating actually. When I'm speaking to a business owner, 15, 20 years in business, and I'm like, so do you have business credit? Yeah, I have a DUNS number. Okay, I have a bank account number. There's no money in it. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Your DUNS number means nothing. It's your Paydex score. Your Paydex score from Dun & Bradstreet is the score that they give you. To get a Paydex score, you need to have at least 3 accounts reporting on Dun & Bradstreet. The score is from 0 to 100. 80 or better is good, 90 or better is excellent, and that's your target. A little gem or jewel, dime for you guys. The way you get a high score is by paying the debt that is associated, that's going to report immediately. So with your personal credit, you can pay up to that due date, right? And that's what most of us do. We wait till the due date and we pay on the due date or right before the due date, so we're not late. We don't get a late payment, and we don't get a late fee. I'm sorry, we don't get a late fee, and it doesn't negatively affect our credit, right, on the personal side. On the business side, you can do that, but they literally dock you every day that you don't pay. So just think of it like every day that you don't pay, you're losing a point. So if you wait 30 days, that means you lost 30 points. So that means your Paydex score is probably going to be somewhere between 60 to 70, right? Now the other side to it is the time of having these accounts, the size of these accounts, right? But to get a Paydex score, it's real simple. You need 3 accounts, 3 vendor accounts that report to Dun & Bradstreet. I would recommend at least having 3 transactions. And you want to, when you have that account, you use it and then you pay it immediately. So as soon as the invoice is available, you pay that account. And that's going to get you the highest score and allow you to continue to build the business credit. Now, with that said, when you're building the business credit, like I said at the beginning, it's an investment in your business. So at first, you might have to get a couple accounts that you're not in love with. I'll just give you the 3 most popular ones: Uline, Granger, and Quill. Everybody knows them. There's a lot more than that, okay? But those are like the baseline accounts, okay? Now, how much paper can you buy if you don't need paper, right? But the point is you have to establish a profile, okay? A business credit score, so you have to start somewhere. Now, there are other accounts that you can get at the same time just to monitor your credit, okay? You'll see this in the course. Can you put up the course, Trey? In my course that I've created, I have over 100 trade lines. There's 4 tiers to building the business credit, okay? Tier 1 is where you're starting. It's your foundation, getting credible, making sure you get that score as strong as you can. It is the most important step in the process, because if you set up your Tier 1 business credit profile properly, right, then guess what? It's going to be easy to get more credit. If you don't set up your business credit on Tier 1 properly, or if you're being, for lack of better words, if you're being cheap with yourself, if you can't afford to build business credit, it's an investment, guys, okay? So you have to, have a budget for it. You have to anticipate you're probably going to need to spend between minimum $2,000 to $3,000, not with me, okay, but with these companies over a 3-month period to make purchases and make payments, because credit is what? It's a record of a transaction, meaning you have an account, you use it, you buy something, and then you pay it. That transaction is recorded and reported, okay? With some of these vendors, they'll take up to 90 days to report, okay? If you only do 1 transaction, they might not report you. They might not. They just This is not someone who's actually using this account. They might not report it. So that's why I recommend at least 3 transactions, and I'm recommending at least $51 per transaction, not including tax and shipping. Okay? I already gave you the 3 that you could do that with, right? So that will get you your Paydex score. Now, some of these accounts are going to report to Experian, but they're not going to report to Dun & Bradstreet. Some of them are going to report to Dun & Bradstreet, but they're not going to report to Experian. Some of them will report to all 3. So that's where it gets tricky, because you don't want to just focus on Dun & Bradstreet, because I promise you, there's not one credit card company, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, that's checking Dun & Bradstreet. So if you want to get a real credit card, like a real revolving credit card with 0% interest, with a $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 limit on that credit card, you need to build your Experian and your Equifax business credit profile. I got a DUNS number. That does nothing for you, right? But Dun & Bradstreet is important when it comes later on to lines of credit, when it comes to term loans, and when it comes to net term accounts. That could be net 30, 60, 90 days, or sometimes 120. Net simply means that they give you an account, you have 30 days to pay it back. Okay, 60 days, net 60, net 90 would be 90 days to pay it back, right? Those accounts can be very powerful and useful for you, okay? So all 3 bureaus are equally important. Experian has what's called the Intelli score. Intelli. So Dun & Bradstreet is the Paydex score. Dun & Bradstreet's reporting they're doing like $10,000 a month, because that's for some reason what they got. I've also seen people that are doing the opposite, $10,000 a month, and Dun & Bradstreet's showing them $100,000. So you want to fix that, because ultimately when you do go to a bank, that's going to have to be verified. So you want to make sure that's accurate. But all that credibility data that we went over, you want to make sure that's reported to Dun & Bradstreet. Every time you apply for an account in your business name, every account, every vendor, you want to use that business data. All roads must lead back to your business. Okay? One of the tricks you can do as you build business credit, when you're ready to apply, if you're trying to get a credit card, is you can freeze your personal credit. But don't do that if you don't have strong business credit, right? But you might want to do that if you have bad personal credit. You've built up the business credit and you're trying to get approved for a business credit card, okay? The reason I say that is because 99% of these creditors, these credit cards and lenders, they're still going to require a personal guarantee. So I say that because having business credit is a part of your profile. It is not a smoking gun solution to all your problems. So don't think if you have a 550 credit score with a bankruptcy last year or collections, personal credit, that, oh, I'm going to build my business credit and I'm just going to get as much funding as I want. It's not going to work. You're going to have problems. You're not going to get what you want. You're going to get some money, but very limited and not real money. You're not going to get term loans. You're not going to get line of credit. You're not going to get an SBA 7A loan or 504, and you're going to get very limited credit cards if you don't have good personal. So just like you're building your business credit, if you don't have good personal credit, you need to get your personal credit right too, guys. Okay? All right. Okay, so tier 1 business credit, Equifax is going to be from 0 to 900. It's a little bit tougher to build them because not as many accounts report to Equifax. And because the range is higher, it requires more. 10 minutes. Thank you. It requires more. It requires more accounts and transactions to build up that Equifax account. So the point is, as I hope you can tell with everything that I'm sharing with you, that this doesn't happen by itself. This doesn't happen because you have a business and you're making revenue, you're closing. This happens because you made a decision to take the time to invest in your business and build your business credit. Now, once you get the business credit built up, it doesn't stop. It never ends, just like your personal credit, right? You have to take care of it. You're going to continue to leverage it, and you're going to continue to use these same principles to grow it and get access to more and more funding. Okay? So, one of the things you want to know is what is your goal as far as lending or funding is concerned? Are you looking to get access to business credit cards? Are you looking to get access to an SBA loan? Are you looking to get access to a business line of credit? Or are you looking to get access to equipment, trucks, right? I could tell you it's a lot easier to get approved for equipment, vehicles, and things of that nature with no personal guarantee than it is these other products and loans. Why? Because it's an asset, right? So once you have that business credit, you can finance vehicles, you can finance equipment with no personal guarantee. I have clients that have bought Teslas and they're doing Turo. He bought 2 Teslas at the same time with no PG, none. And he's touring it. Now, maybe you're not doing that. Maybe you're just a business owner. You have nothing to do with vehicles, right? But do you drive a car? Yeah? If you're financing that car, it's on your personal credit, right? So guess what it's doing? It's increasing your personal debt to income ratio because it's on your personal credit, right? So what if you could refinance that car on your business credit, take it off your personal credit, and increase your personal debt to income ratio? Guess what? That's a business debt at that point. It's no longer a personal liability, right? So guess what? If you have an issue, they can't take the car from you personally because your business is not you. It's a separate entity. It has its own tax code, its own EIN, right? Plus, it becomes a 100% tax deduction to the business. Why? Because it's a business asset. So most of us have cars that are in our name personally as business owners, and we're making payments from it using our business, right? And we're trying to get tax deductions, but there's very limited tax deduction. You got to log your miles, you got to log your gas, right? And all the expenses of, what's up, Tony? You get with everything that, the expenses for the car, you're trying to write that off. But there's limited expenses that you can write off because it's a personal asset. Put it in the business name, it's 100% of the business asset, business liability. Okay? So that's a win. Yes, sir.
Does the same apply to properties? Yeah, properties with equity?
So yeah, when you put a property in a business name, it's not a personal asset. Correct. How about this, guys? How about you put your assets in a trust? Instead of putting it in your personal name, you put it in a trust, and you make yourself the administrator of a trust. I'm going to end it there for now. Right? Am I good? All right, let's do some Q&A. Yes, sir. Secretary of State. Secretary of State, yeah. So you could go to, it might be hard to, when you go to the Secretary of State, you just type in, you could probably just go to Google, type in UCC filing, Secretary of State search, and then you'll find it. It's in the course, like a specific link for that. But you can also, when you have an account with Experian and Equifax and Dun & Bradstreet, they're going to show that as well on your business credit report. It'll show if you have a UCC filing. Let me also just mention, with Experian and Equifax, with Dun & Bradstreet, you have to create that account. You have to set up. These two happen when you establish an account that reports. So you can't just go there and create an account. They create an account once there's an account that reports to them. Okay, just because I don't want you going to Experian and Equifax trying to create an account, because you can't. It's only going to create it automatically when you have an account that reports to those two. But Dun & Bradstreet, you have to get that DUNS number first before you start using, building the business credit. Yes.
What can we use to monitor our business credit?
Sure. So there are one site is My Score IQ. They have an account that will show you Dun & Bradstreet and Experian. Actually, again, guys, all of these links are in the course, and I'm going to give you guys access to it for free today. You're going to get, everybody here is going to get access to, my preliminary instructions. So you're not going to get the whole course. You're going to get the preliminary credibility instructions, which is going to include most of what we've talked about here today. Okay? So yeah, make sure I have your business card, or do you have everybody's info? Yeah. So you'll get an email to log into the course, and everything that I've talked about, plus much, much more resources, are going to be in there that you guys can click on and take advantage of. But yeah, that, and then there's also NAV is another one that you can use. Otherwise, you can go to Dun & Bradstreet and Experian and Equifax, but it's expensive. With Experian, it's going to be like with My Score IQ, it'll be like $50 a month. And you don't have to keep that. You might want to activate it, check it, and then, you can it's a month-to-month thing. And then NAV is between 40 to 50. a month to monitor your business credit. Any other questions? Now remember, this is our first session. We're gonna take a little break, right? And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna start teaching you guys about what I call meta life banking, which is a combination of velocity banking and infinite banking. And I have invited one of my mentors and good friends, and he's in the house today. So, make sure you stay. Don't go anywhere, because what we're about to get into is amazing information.